So in this election cycle, we have artificial intelligence progressing to the point where it can make little videos that sound like they're being voiced by Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, or I guess there's some Trump ones out there too. But the one that's at odds today is a video that sounds like it's from Kamala, but if you listen to it, obviously it's AI, it's a parody. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, said he's already working on legislation to outlaw the use of such videos. Elon Musk makes the case that parody is still illegal, even under current copyright law or fraud laws or whatever you want to try and throw at slander, libel laws. But look, are they going to do something about it? Because as it stands right now, this technology is in its infancy. It's unregulated. And I guess it's still following under the purview as long as the audience knows it's parody. Any reasonable person who sees this knows it's not really an attempt to make you think that that's Joe Biden saying that or Kamala Harris saying that, then it should be fair game. It's the same thing with Photoshop. It's the same thing with caricature cartoons and things like that. But look, we've been enjoying these videos already this election cycle. This is an example of one from Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans, I want to take a moment to address some of the hateful you've been talking about me. Many of you have said I am suffering from brain worms or that I have applesauce for brains. Well,
yeah. Anyway,
I won't miss.
Anyway, let's talk to someone who does this for a living. Scott Baradell is back on the James Show now. He handles branding for businesses all the time. Scott, do I have my general summary correct? Anything you would correct or add to that? My understanding of how parody fits in our copyright law.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right on point. I mean, I think the key is it comes down to the First Amendment and parody, satire protected by free speech. And, you know, I think most people, at least most people who are somewhat informed, would look at that video and know it was a parody. But the issue was that the original creator labeled it as parody when he posted it, but then Elon Musk shared it without labeling it as such. So it just said, this is amazing, and here's the video. And so people, opponents of Elon and opponents of Trump and supporters of Harris said, hey, this is deceiving people, and, that's where it all started.
Do you think any reasonable person could see that Kamala Harris video and not know it's parody?
Well, I would think it's pretty obvious because she calls Joe Biden senile. She says she's a diversity hire, and she says she doesn't know the first thing about running the country, and that this is supposedly an ad for her presidency, which they use footage from her actual kind of campaign launch ad. You would think any reasonable person would know that she didn't actually say those things.
Yeah, but look, we live in a world where I have this sun visor because, you know, when it's summer and you're in a parking lot, you want to put it over your windshield so your car is in 128 degrees when you get back. And there has to be a warning label on that because it's not assumed, according to the warning label, please remove this before operating your vehicle. I mean, the bar is set so low for what we assume a reasonable person would think that that might be an argument to get rid of these.
Well, you know, it's funny. This all started on X and or Twitter, and X's own policies say users may not share synthetic, manipulated, out-of-context media that may deceive people or confuse people, which obviously this happened. But Elon referred to the part of the same policy that says that as long as it doesn't cause significant confusion, that using AI and using these tactics for parody is just fine. So it really comes down to, there's got to be some protection for free speech here. And how do you protect the rights of, the people who are creating versus the people who are being parodied? I think that's been a long-standing issue. I mean, before you had AI voices, you had really good impersonators. You had comedians who could do great impressions. How would that be different if the ad were, done by an impressionist?
Exactly. Are you reading my notes? That was my next point. Because here in radio, we do have ads, people doing impersonations of voices. And I've done ads before where I was Al Gore for a commercial, and I do it so ridiculous, no one would really think that's Al Gore. But that's always been protected. I could see though that AI is a little more fraudulent than an impersonator. But do you think this will pass? Do you think Gavin Newsom's proposal has a chance of passing?
Well, it might. I think quite a few states now have something in process along these lines. And it may be, as you said, things as simple as it needs to be labeled always. Even if it seems obvious that it's AI or obvious that it's satire, it still needs to be labeled. I think that's about as far as you're going to be able to go before you really start stepping on the First Amendment quite a bit. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think it could go further than that.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott Baradell. Tell the guys how they find you at Idea Grove.
Just ideagrove.com.
It's that easy. Thank you, sir.